Merry meet everyone, and welcome once again to Lady Moonlight's story time with myself, Lady Moonlight, and two boys in the corner, Rocky and Rio. The tune I was playing on my flute today is one of the songs that's in the story. The song is called Hushabye Mountain, and you'll be learning that today too. So, who am I going to say hello to today? Well, I'm going to say hello to Harrison. Hi Harrison. I'm also going to say hello and merry meet to Hardy and Ashton. Hi Hardy. Hi Ashton. I'm also going to say hello to Olivia. Hello Olivia. And Cheyanne and Billy. Hi Cheyanne. Hi Billy. Not forgetting Sydney. Hello Sydney. And also Lily and Connor as well. Hello Lily. Hello Connor. And of course, all the other children who tune in to Lady Moonlight Story Time with me every Saturday. So, what's today's story called today? Well, today's story is called Cheyanne and the Elf That Could Not Sleep. Cheyanne lived in the magical forest with her mum and dad. She didn't know anything else but the magical forest, and she loved it. She knew every path in the forest because mum and dad had showed her every path so that they knew Cheyanne would never get lost. Now, in the forest, there also lived magical beings, magical people. There were the fairies, of course. Every forest has fairies. And there are tree elves as well. Most trees have tree elves. And then you have the animals of the forest, the deer, the bear, the antelope, the rabbits, and all sorts of other animals, depending on which forest you stay near or stay in. But this magical forest also had unicorns. Cheyanne had a unicorn that was her best friend. The unicorn was called Silverfire because it had the most beautiful silver horn, and its white coat seemed to glisten and shine in the sunshine. She loved her unicorn and often would jump on the unicorn's back and they would fly across the forest. They were the best of friends. Wherever Cheyanne went, the unicorn went too. Silverfire loved Cheyanne. One day, Cheyanne woke up. The sun was shining. It's a beautiful day. She went out into the garden and shouted for the unicorn. Silverfire, Silverfire, where are you? There was no response. Where on earth could that unicorn be? She looked behind the house. Silverfire, Silverfire, where are you? Still no response. Now that's not like Silverfire. Silverfire's always here when I shout on her. Where on earth could she be? Oh well, I guess I'll just make some daisy chains or something to pass the time. She went back round to the front of the house, and there was a large lawn in her front garden, and it had lots of beautiful white and yellow daisies. Cheyanne sat amongst the daisies and started picking them one by one and threading them into a beautiful daisy chain. Suddenly, she heard a familiar sound. Could that be Silverfire? She listened again. This time, the hoofs seemed to be faster, as if Silverfire was in such a rush. Before long, sure enough, Silverfire trotted into the garden. "Oh, I'm sorry," said Silverfire to Cheyanne. "I got caught up. Oh, there is such a to-do in the forest today." "Really?" said Cheyanne. "What's wrong?" "Oh, well, as I was flying around the forest, as I normally do, I heard Mrs. Elf. Oh, she was in such a state." "What's wrong with Mrs. Elf?" said Cheyanne. "She's always happy." "Well, Mrs. Elf's little boy isn't very well, and she spent the whole night nursing him and trying to get him to sleep. But it didn't matter what she did. Baby Elf couldn't sleep." "Oh no," said Cheyanne. That's not good. Let me think. Who could we get help from? Mrs. Elf certainly needs help. That she does. I've never seen Mrs. Elf so upset. This requires some magic, I think, said Cheyanne. Can you take me to the fairy ring? I'm sure the fairies might be able to help in this matter. Of course I can. And yes, you might be right. Fairies are magical beings. I'm sure they'll be able to help. Jump on my back, Cheyanne, and I'll take you there in a jiffy. Cheyanne jumped onto Silverfire's back, and away they flew, higher and higher, above all the treetops. The wind was blowing in Cheyanne's hair, and the sun was warm. Far below them, she could see the whole of the forest, even her little cottage, even the garden below her, the babbling streams, and all of the animals, the deer, the bears. She could see them all. Before long, sure enough, far below them was a fairy ring, a ring with beautiful red spotted toadstools, all in her beautiful, perfect little ring. Silverfire landed just outside the circle, and Cheyanne got off his back. Cheyanne looked and couldn't see the fairies anywhere. Oh, they're not here, said Cheyanne. Oh no, now what do we do? Why, you go in the centre of the ring and you call on them, Cheyanne. said Silverfire. Once you're in the ring, the fairies will hear you. You're right, Silverfire. Silly me. Cheyanne went into the centre of the ring of toadstools. Oh, fairies of magic, oh, fairies of light, come hither, come hither. Your friend is in plight. We need your help. At first, still there was no sound. You need to say it louder, I think, said Silverfire. Oh, fairies of magic, oh, fairies of light, come hither, for your friend is in plight. Suddenly, there was a tinkle of wings. Here they come, said Cheyanne. It got louder and louder. And there they were, 7 beautiful fairies who sat on the 7 perfect toadstools. Why, said the Fairy Queen, what is up, Cheyanne? Oh, and hello there, Silverfire. Wow, what makes you come and see us today, Cheyanne? Oh, said Cheyanne, we need your help. Well, if we can help, of course we'll help. What's wrong with you? Oh, said Cheyanne, there's nothing wrong with me. Oh, well, what's wrong with Silverfire? She went over to Silverfire and lifted his tail and looked under his tail. Open your mouth, Silverfire. What for? Said Silverfire. Just open your mouth and do what you're told, said the Queen. Silverfire opened his mouth. Now stick out your tongue. What? Stick out your tongue, said the Queen Fairy. Well, Silverfire looks in good health. His tongue is nice and pink. His eyes are sparkling. And there's no fleas under his tail. Oh, Cheyanne laughed. Silverfire's okay too. The Fairy Queen flew back to her toadstool looking a bit bemused and puzzled. Okay, wait a minute. So, Silverfire is fine. You are fine. Yes, said Cheyanne. We're both fine. Well, what's the problem then? Said the Fairy Queen. The problem is Mrs. Elf. Oh, she's not well then, huh? Oh no, Mrs. Elf is fine. Oh my goodness. Will you please get to the point, said the Fairy Queen. My head's in such a muddle now. Okay, let me explain, said Cheyanne. When Silverfire was flying around the forest, Mrs. Elf was in such a state. She was so upset. Baby Elf is not very well and has kept Mrs. Elf up all night. Neither Mrs. Elf was able to sleep, but more importantly, poor Baby Elf hasn't been able to sleep either. And Mrs. Elf is never sad, and we want to make her better. We want to make her happy and Baby Elf better. Can you help? Silly question, Cheyanne, said the fairy. Of course we can help. Fairies are magic. What do you say, fairy sisters? Shall we go and help Baby Elf and Mrs. Elf? The fairies all nodded their head in agreement. Jump on my back, said Silverfire. we've got work to do." Cheyanne jumped on Silverfire's back, and away they flew. The fairies followed behind. Between Silverfire's magical wings and the fairies flying behind, it didn't take them long before they were at Mrs. Elf's house. Mrs. Elf, said Cheyanne. Mrs. Elf, looking very tired and still upset, opened the door of her tree house and came out. "Oh, Cheyanne, and Silverfire, oh, and the fairy sisters. Oh, well, I am honoured. Why have you all come today?" "Silverfire told me that little baby elf is not very well and can't sleep." "Yes, and he still can't sleep. Poor little thing. He's got such a toothache, and he's just not able to get rid of it." Said the fairies. The fairies asked Mrs. Elf if she had some white sage. "Oh yes, I've got some white sage." "Do you have a pot of boiling water?" "Oh, I've got that too," said Mrs. Elf. "Come on in." Cheyanne and the fairies went into the tree house. Of course, Silverfire was too big to go into a small tree house, so he stuck his nose through the window instead and peered through the window to watch what was going on. On the fire, there was a pot of boiling water. "Oh, perfect," said the fairy. "You've got water on the boil already. Now, take some of the sage leaves and pop them into the pot and brew them till the pot is nice and brown." Mrs. Elf took her sage and popped it into the pot, stirring very carefully over the fire. "My tooth, my tooth, oh, Mommy dear, my tooth," said Baby Elf. "I know, dear, I know," said Mrs. Elf. "We've got the fairies here and Cheyanne. They're going to help." "I hope so," said Baby Elf. "My tooth is so sore and I'm so tired, but I can't sleep. I just can't sleep." Before long, the water in the pot had turned a nice brown colour. "Now," said the Fairy Queen, "take a cup and fill the cup with the sage tea." Mrs. Elf took the cup and dipped it carefully into the pot, filling the cup with the sage tea they had just made. "Now, put a touch of cold water in it. We can't have Baby Elf burning himself on boiling hot tea now. That would never do." Mrs. Elf put a little bit of cold water into the cup. "There you go, Baby Elf. Drink some of this. It won't taste very nice," said Mrs. Elf, "but it will help." Baby Elf took a sip of the sage tea. "What on earth is... Oh, that's horrible," said Baby Elf. "Well, I know," said Mrs. Elf, "but all medicines don't taste nice, but they do you so much good. Why not hold your nose and drink a bit? Maybe that will help the taste. Or maybe a bit of sugar or honey," said the fairy. "Good idea," said Mrs. Elf. "I've got some honey." She ran to her larder and took out a jar of honey and took a spoonful of honey and put it into the tea and stirred the tea. There, try some of that. Baby Elf drank some of the tea. That's much better. It's sweet. And oh, my toothache's gone. Mother dear, my toothache's gone. Oh, thank goodness, said Mrs. Elf. Now all we need is to help you sleep. Oh, we can help with that, said the fairies. We have just the perfect lullaby. Lullabies are good for helping elves to go to sleep. In fact, lullabies are good for helping everyone go to sleep. Oh, could you teach me the lullaby? Said Mrs. Elf. Of course we can. Would you like to learn the lullaby too? I have my tambourine today. Shall we help Mrs. Elf and the fairies to sing the lullaby and learn it? Let me sing it first, as always, and then you can join in too. It has the same tune as the tune that I played on the flute at the beginning of the story. It's called Hushabye Mountain. You might know it from one of the Disney films. A gentle breeze from Hushabye Mountain gently blows o'er Lullaby Bay, and it fills the sails of boats that are waiting to sail your worries away. So come with me to Hushabye Mountain. Say goodbye to cares of the day, and watch and wait for the boats who are sailing to sail far away from Lullaby Bay. Oh, said Mrs. Elf. Look, Baby Elf is almost asleep. No, I'm not, said Baby Elf, yawning. But I do like that song. Can we sing it again? Of course we can, said the fairies. Do you want to join in too? A gentle breeze from Hushabye Mountain softly blows o'er Lullaby Bay. It fills the sails of boats that are waiting to tail your worries away. So come with me to Hushabye Mountain. Say goodbye to cares of the day, and watch and wait for those boats who'll be sailing to sail far away from Lullaby Bay. Wow! Just once more, said Cheyanne. I've just about learnt it. Okay, said the Fairy Queen, just one more time. A gentle breeze from Hushabye Mountain softly blows o'er Lullaby Bay. It fills the sails of boats that are waiting to sail your worries away. So come with me to Hushabye Mountain. Say goodbye to cares of the day and watch and wait for those boats who are sailing to sail far away from Lullaby Bay. They both looked, and there was Baby Elf, fast asleep. And in the chair next to him was Mrs. Elf, fast asleep. Cheyanne laughed gently. She has such a pretty snore, don't you think, fairies? Yes, she does, said the fairies. Let's sneak away and leave them to sleep. They need all the rest they can get. Good idea, said Cheyanne. Cheyanne and the fairies went outside and quietly closed the door. Good job, said Silverfire. How sweet they are, fast asleep. And yes, Cheyanne, Mrs. Elf does have such the most funniest snore. But it's all good, because she's been able to get Baby Elf to sleep. Yes, said Cheyanne, and Mrs. Elf to sleep too. I know, said Silverfire. Just for 1 second there I thought I was going to go head over heels and fall asleep too. But I didn't. I stayed awake. I kept flapping my tail so my tail would wake me up. Oh, you are silly, Silverfire, said Cheyanne. But you still like me, don't you? Of course we do, said Cheyanne. You're my best friend. And our best friend, said the fairies. Cheyanne turned to the Fairy Queen. Thank you so much, Fairy Queen, and the fairies, for helping today. You're welcome, Cheyanne and Silverfire. Now, time for us to fly back to the fairy ring, and time for Silverfire to take you back home before your mother decides to send out a search party for you. Good idea, said Silverfire. Come on, young Cheyanne. Hop on. Let's fly back home. Cheyanne jumped upon Silverfire's back. They said goodbye to the fairies and took one last look at Mrs. Elf's tree house. Cheyanne peered in the window before they flew off. And there was Mrs. Elf. Still fast asleep. With Baby Elf, who has no more toothache and was also sleeping. Cheyanne smiled. Now that's what I call a good day's work, said Cheyanne. Indeed it is, said Silverfire. Let's fly. Silverfire spread his beautiful wings and flew away high in the sky. Oh, I think I need that sleep now as well, said Cheyanne. But I've forgotten the words already. I haven't, said Silverfire. I'll sing it to you, and then before you know it, you'll be sleeping too. Good idea. Silverfire started to sing as they flew away, back home. A gentle breeze from Hushabye Mountain softly blows o'er Lullaby Bay, fills the sails of boats who are waiting to sail your worries away. So come with me to Hushabye Mountain, say farewell to cares of the day, and watch and wait for those boats who are sailing to sail far away from Lullaby Bay. Silverfire turned his neck round, and there was Cheyanne, with her head resting against Silverfire's back, fast asleep. How cute, said Silverfire. Silverfire soon got to Cheyanne's home. As it flew down, there was Cheyanne's mum, eagerly awaiting Cheyanne to return home. She was standing at the front door. Hello, said Silverfire. Oh, Silverfire, hello. And you've brought Cheyanne home. Thank you so much. Shh, said Silverfire. We've had a busy day, and Cheyanne's fast asleep. Oh, not a problem, said Mrs. Mum. Mum walked over to Silverfire and gently lifted a very sleepy Cheyanne from his back. I'll tuck her safely into bed, Silverfire. Thank you for watching over her. Oh, you're most welcome, said Silverfire. It's my pleasure. Time for me to fly back home too, though. Take care of Cheyanne now, won't you? Of course, said Cheyanne's mum. Cheyanne's mum waved goodbye to Silverfire as Silverfire rose high in the air. She looked down at the sleeping Cheyanne in her arms. Well, let's get you off to bed. Cheyanne yawned and opened one eye. Oh, hello, Mum. Hello, Cheyanne. I'm so tired and sleepy, said Cheyanne. I know. Let's put you into bed. Cheyanne's mum took her upstairs and wrapped her up in her cosy little bed. And there she slept all night. The next morning she awoke, and there was a chap on the door. Mum, Mum, there's somebody at the door, said Cheyanne. Okay, dear, I'll just get it. Again, there was a knock on the door. I'm coming, said Cheyanne's mum. Cheyanne's mum opened the door, and there was Mrs. Elf and Baby Elf. Why, Mrs. Elf, good day to you and Baby Elf. Is Cheyanne in? Said Mrs. Elf. Yes, she is. Come on in, and I'll give her a shout. Cheyanne, it's Mrs. Elf and Baby Elf. Oh, said Cheyanne. She ran down the stairs and into the living room where Mrs. Elf and Baby Elf were awaiting. Hello, Mrs. Elf. How are you today? Oh, we are much better, thank you so much. And Baby Elf, no toothache whatsoever. And we fell asleep, didn't we? Yes, you did, said Cheyanne. But you needed it. Well, we slept all night till this morning, said Mrs. Elf. And we both feel so much better for it. So much so, I wanted to say thank you to you, and thank you to the fairies, and also thank you to Silverlight. So we've been doing our house rounds. We popped in to see Silverfire, and we bought him some carrots and some apples. Then we went to the fairy ring, and we left them some cream, some milk, some scones, and some crackers and cheese. So next on our list was you. Mrs. Elf then took out a fairy basket that the fairies had gave her. This basket was gifted to me by the fairies a long time ago, said Mrs. Elf, and I use it for special occasions. Well, I would say this is a special occasion. Oh, what's in your basket? Said Cheyanne. Open it and see, said Mrs. Elf. Cheyanne opened the basket, and there was a freshly baked lemon drizzle cake. Ooh, cake, said Cheyanne. Thank you. I think that's enough for you and Mother and Father to share, said Mrs. Elf. Oh, won't you stay and join us too then? Why, don't mind if we do. Mum put the kettle on and made them all a lovely cup of tea. And she sliced up the cake. A piece for Baby Elf, a piece for Mother Elf, a piece for Mum, a piece for Dad, and of course, a slice for Cheyanne as well. They spent the most wonderful morning chatting about Baby Elf and his toothache and filling Mum in all the adventures that they had the day before. And of course, teaching Mum the lullaby too. Have you had problems sleeping sometimes? We all do. Well, now you know the special lullaby. And when you're tired and you can't sleep, sing the lullaby, or even better, ask Mum or Dad to sing it for you. Or listen to the story and allow me to sing it for you, and that will help you get to sleep too. I look forward to seeing you next week for yet another story with myself, Lady Moonlight, and Rocky and Rio. They've been very quiet tonight. I think they've enjoyed the lullaby too. I hope you have as well. Have a good week, everyone, and I will leave you with the lullaby tune. merry part till we merry meet again, and blessed be everyone. Bye.